All right. I should be live now. Ugh. I was live then too, but I'm trying to do too much. I want to do it one way, but I got to work on that. All right. Anyway, mm, I'll wait for y'all to come back to me. But I saw in the other live stream, I saw what's the dude's name? JJ, I saw you. I also saw Calderon. I don't even think I kept that chat up for myself. Shout out to all of y'all for that. Anyway, trying to do too much on. I'm almost there though. I'm just almost there. But it's too many parts to put together. I'm not gonna let this defeat me. Anyway, good morning and welcome to Mo Knows, featuring me, Monica Mo Justice. Mo Mo Mo. All right, but what I am gonna do is I'm gonna get. No, hold up, that's too much. I am gonna get. Okay, so somebody was actively writing in the chat um a few things that I was just perplexed about yesterday. But I wasn't gonna be able to save that stream. Good morning, Carenza. Miss Harris, how are you today? Okay, so let's start with like how people do things when something is a shiz show, okay? They begin with the positives. So let's start with the positives, because boy, I could definitely take you through all the negatives. The positives, one positive thing occurred yesterday. The state rests their case. Um, we got a preamble into the charges. Good morning, I'm her. We got a preamble into the charging conversations that are being had, and we got some dude came in to explain Rico. The bad news is that perhaps only one charge is going to get thrown out because of a failure to file the indictment properly. So it sounds like that charge is going to get thrown out unless today they can come back and present that they have uh all right, Miss Harris. I ain't mad at you. So one charge might get thrown out. Oh, girl, I'm the worst person you could listen to this morning because I don't have anything nice to say beyond these beginning opening statements right here. So, um, I have to pop out the chat. Hold on, I have to get the URL. Hold up a second for that. Copy that. This is gonna be another mess. How did I do this again? Monica, how did you get the chat? All right, I got the chat there. Then I gotta come over here to this one. Hold up, I gotta put up my studio. I gotta come over here to the chat one. And then I have to go over here and I have to put the URL in here. Boom. Okay, so that's gonna be okay. That's good. All right, so I think I'm about ready to go. Um, all right, well, I did that correctly. Let me show y'all how correct I am with that. Yes, I did do that. So let us stop that and stop that. Okay. So good morning, I'm her. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, so here we are. No, they didn't overcharge the indictment. Well, they did. Well, uh, uh, uh. if I ever had a chance to really get into that conversation, but the trial is creeping up on me as I speak, and it's coming to it's rapidly closing. We're in rapid succession right now. So the charges against the defendants, Yak Gotti and SB, are coming to a wrap, more or less. Um, One of the gun charges or something, when they made the charge, right, the language has to specify what you're charging them for. It has to link, right? So you have to say, I'm charging you with this for this reason on this day. This is what you did. So in the documentation, they admitted yesterday that they don't have all of the stuff. They didn't have all of the details outlined in the charge. So the judge is saying, well, if you didn't have that in there, guess what? You're not going to be able to go forward with that charge. The charges that are, so Yak Gotti is facing the conspiracy charge, which yesterday we did learn some interesting things about at least I did, learn some interesting things about their RICO charge. And so it's not that the overt acts is something that they did in the past, right? The overt acts are that they're in furtherance of a conspiracy. So you have to find an act that they did there and say that they conspired with each other in order to carry that out. So now it makes a little more sense to me why they keep trying to allude to the tattoos and stuff, even though it's not a crime to have a tattoo, even though it's not a crime to make music and have the lyrics that they have, but they're saying that those are the acts that they did to support the RICO, the racketeering part. This is their conspiracy. By engaging in these activities, this is what links them together to all of the bad acts that other people committed or that these people committed. Because of this, they were part of that. It was part of the bigger picture. It's basically what they're saying. So let's think about it like in a real mob case, But I'm going to tell you right now, the theatrics of Kayla Bumpus and Doug Weinstein are just too much for me. It's way too much for me, because at the end of the day, I don't know these young men, but I know young men like them. And the reason why I took an interest in this case is because I know young men like them. I know people who kids are suffering. They're not kids anymore. They're adults, right? Because we're looking at adults about to turn 30. But these are people who have been traumatized by their environment. The community policing that was put in their schools to help them and bring them up is the same people 10 years later taking them down and sitting there inside a trial. These are people that they confided in as young folks who are using that stuff against them as adult folks. I can't imagine sitting in front of Velveeta Cheese up there and just looking at her and just being like, this is a lady that once was my probation officer. This is a person that was supposed to redirect me and keep me out of stuff. Instead, all of her endeavors were intended to incarcerate me further down the line. School to prison pipeline. This is a prime example of how that existed and how they lived that out. We're just watching it we're watching it come to its completion. And I'm disgusted by this. I'm disgusted by the theatrics. I'm just disgusted. Here you have Shard doing a great job presenting and dismantling her, right? Velveeta, who's on the stand. He's doing the best. And see, I'm not going to call her a hoe. As much I call people as chicken heads and stuff like that, right? But it's just too much. It's just way too much. It's way too much. When you start to pull back the onions on this, you can't supplant yourself in the middle of the situation. Um, you just can't. But we see people who have. Velveeta is worse than government cheese. And we've watched Velveeta fall apart. Right, first she's a gun. She's had a lot of Glocks in her life, and then she's had none. We just watched this. I think Shar did a great job coming back and showing, giving reasonable doubt. Because remember, his only role is to provide reasonable doubt, especially in the drinks, MDK, right? We all saw. I I'm not. First of all, if Velveeta was messing around with if she was messing around with SB, which is something I don't even want to touch on because people keep screaming from the rafters, oh, I'm a professional. Oh, I'm a professional. Well, with professionalism comes responsibility. So I'm going to try to, just keep myself to being responsible, not because I'm above the rhetoric and the fray that's out here with this negativity, but just because I'm a woman. I'm a woman of color. I'm a parent of, and I understand what being a byproduct of this situation is. I don't think that she's fixated with him. I don't think this. I don't think I, I don't think it's a romantic fixation as much as other people may want us to believe it to be so. I think these people have a romance with I'm gonna use this word thug, right? The thug mentality, the street mentality. They romance with that. That is very, that takes it to another level. Because why would Damikian Garlington's aunt get involved with get involved with Gaither? And why would they have a tap on Garlington's phone whose aunt is messing around with one of the detectives, and they got a tap on his phone? So who were they tapping? To be quite, what was the motivation? And did these women in authority figures, right? Authority positions like Gaither, like Velveeta over here, did they take their role into bedrooms? I mean, how far were they willing to get their target? I remember watching her on the video with Woody, and when she was like, I can't promise you nothing and whatever, and we watched that whole exchange, but then she went and got the other guy to sit down there and speak to them. I knew she was misleading. When she was on the stand earlier in her testimony, she said people like to talk to her. She could remember a time when this young lady, no one cares about none of that stuff. Now, I did hear Kayla's account of how she was confronted by her, and that is chilling to say the least, because if the police are pulling up on you and they're lying on the stand that they're misrepresenting information, that the bedroom in Fulton County has a problem. The women put their vagina on the line with their job. They sign their job rights with their vagina. That's from the DA down. And that's disturbing to other women who are trying to raise up in these positions that are male-dominated fields, and unable to really capture them. But you always have these women that put their sexuality out there first and foremost to rise through the ranks. And then later down the line, we'll hear them screaming discrimination, me too, how about you, and all this other stuff. You know, how they were forced into using their body to get. No, you have to have a personal, some self-respect. These are the people that lack that. And I'm disgusted because when I see non-black women talk about how they had to put their vagina on the line to get where they wanted to get, I always say to myself, pity her soul. But I would think that as a black woman, right, as a woman of color, we don't have to stoop to those levels. We come in prepared and ready to take on whatever task is put before us. We're built like that. She didn't have to approach Kayla, and I don't even know if that account of what happened is accurate, but what I can tell you, the tone in it. I'm just going to talk about tone. When she says how the woman backed up and said, and I'm not going to be too many more hoes, right? Where I come from, right? Because, you know, maybe I speak ghetto a little bit different. Maybe I understand, maybe I understand that. Maybe I understand ghetto just a little bit different here, right? Those are fighting words, or those are, I'm about to get you. Now, if you know, and this is the stupidity and ignorance of Kayla, right? This is Kayla, the attorney. And you know, sometimes they say those people with book smarts shouldn't be in there with street smarts. You can't mix the two of them. She's sitting up there talking about, I must be on a recorded line because, pep me up, do my makeup. Girl, bye. And the women on the YouTube that are rolling with that, like, come on, be for real. Be about your business. Her friendship is not worth all of that. Let's have some integrity for the platforms we stand for. This is a leech trying to come into our area and take over streaming with all this love and hip hop type of aura. It reaps, Mona, all over the place. I want to know if people really got scripts written here. Did they really get contracts to do this? The stuff is just crazy. And then Doug, right? The reason why I can't stand me some Doug is that he has come into this case with the most vulnerable, probably, yak to me exemplifies. His mama is there every darn day standing on her tools and fuse. Her son already had been locked up because she got into a dispute with somebody in the street and they popped off at her, pew, 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 like y'all like to do, right? And, you know, somebody held something down and he went through the system on the strength of his mom. He can write a song and say he beat a murder rap through 30 racks at that. He also comes from within the industry. His uncle is in the industry. So he was the most vulnerable defendant out here. He wasn't even in town when half of this stuff was going down. He had returned here to do some stuff. He was living in LA. I watched the interviews. He was happy to be out of that mess. He done served his time. While they screaming to Woody from the prosecutor's desk, oh, we don't want you to do no more time for YSL. I don't want nobody to do no more time for these people in these positions. Doug gets up there and he wants to make a mockery out of whatever's going on. Doug, dear Doug, you already put Kayla on the stand based on what Kayla said happened. How could you even quote her again without her coming to you with a video? Without her coming to you with some audio of what transpired. You diminished your case instantly because, contrary to what people believe, and based on what Kayla said the lady said to her, it sounds like she been bumping those gums and those new pearly whites to a little bit too much. So I will not be surprised if she's one day in her own handcuffs. She don't give a damn about nobody. And you know how you know she don't give a damn about anybody? And this is just, I'm talking about this one. Is that she actually had his grandmother off shot, or somebody that she was representing to be his grandmother, off screen talking. Why? While these men are fighting, please make sure y'all get my likes up. While these people are getting, they're supposed to be fighting for their life, and we're supposed to believe that she has their best interests at heart. We didn't see it with Woody, and you can't say you see it now. It's beyond it's just beyond reproach. First of all, they provided their reasonable doubt. Shar did a great job walking back that whole murder, death, kill of Shamel. He did a great job at just showing that it was not a thorough investigation, because some more things had come up and some more things had happened. And they proved to us, just out of doing a thorough investigation, a person would have looked into who was those cars. You showed us that you had other video footage of the cars from a different angle coming down the road again, right? If you got that different footage that was very clear and crisp, right, then you can see the cars that was coming from that road. She said she was out there looking for indigenous people to gather more information, but then she says, go ask the incompetent detective what he did. You was out there, Velveeta, searching for more information from the streets, right? You had your feet were on the ground, but the purpose of that was to dot your I's and cross your T's that you couldn't find somebody out there that would say something. The people I know, beyond this case, don't openly speak to the Popo, right? We call them Popo. Y'all call them 12. Some people call them 50. People don't speak that. I feel like Shard's presentation of his case yesterday, where he was presenting reasonable doubt, really got a little bit tilted with the introduction of the Kayla stuff. So I was disappointed in that. And when he did stand up and say, I want to hear him out because I might have an objection of my own. So don't take my silence, right, for acquiesce. So he basically said, don't take my silence as if I'm joining in on this, right? Even though you could sit back and chuckle at it because this is a shiz show. He's just basically saying, yo, don't take my silence as being part of this, period. Because I might have my own objection right now to what Doug is doing, because it is his client. But Doug is the person to present that, because the bias shown to Shannon may have a negative impact on Yak. Remember, Yak got his own murder charge, with the only evidence we have is that he too was at the gas station going into the store. Now, if the theory of the prosecution had held up, and they had went with the crackheads that they put on the stand to tell the story, the ones that to tell you about the stuff over there and over there, and the guy came out the guy was shooting out the car, and the car that pulled up and stopped in front was the thing. You might be able to put that on Yak, but we're going with your theory that he was in the car that Thug rented and gave to Woody, but Woody wasn't there. We can't find his cell phone. He gave us one cell phone. We took his word for it, and he tells us what? He got 2 phones, one for the cops and one for the home. You know, like, it's crazy. I would have been laughing too. You know why I would have been laughing? Because Doug is way out of line at that moment. When I saw him stand up there and do that, I was like, he said, wait, your honor, whatever. Doug, you are an excellent writer. You should have already had that in written format to provide as a written record. It does go to bias. The judge knows it goes to bias. But the problem here is that you can't, the problem that you have in this situation is the orchestrated bias. One, we had Kayla be the representative for Woody. We had her already told us that Woody and her already decided that he was going to fire her. Yada, yada, yada. She has been here every step of the way as a big distraction. And her attempts for a mistrial diminishes the case because it says to the public, the prosecution got something here and I want to obstruct it. Instead of letting the stuff play itself out, the evidence or the non-evidence is there. It sure would have been better to do that. Let me just use their word of the day. It sure would have had exemplified professionalism, respect for the court. Abati, he just jumps out. He can't take it no more. Did you see little Miss Knight? She's like, what the? Oh! Who would hire her? You know, that's not even my hero there when it comes down to Kayla, because at the end of the day, people are gonna do what they want to do and seek, you know, the type of representation that they're gonna, that they're gonna seek. I don't see where she serves anybody's best interests, but that's just my. That's my take on some things. She couldn't represent my loved one unless I didn't have money and I wanted to go beyond. No, I would just go with the free attorney that the court appoints before I use her as an attorney. And I believe she's got more to cover up. I think it's more self-preservation than anything else, especially when she said it's not anything that she wrote on Twitter. We don't know, lady, if it's anything that you put on Instagram or any gram, because we know that when this thing first started, you guys, after a couple of days of being live, I'm talking about Woody and Kayla, y'all decided to pull back content off of your channel because you knew it was damaging. They already got it. This woman was screenshot shoddy. I'm talking about Velveeta. She was screenshot shoddy and caught stuff in 3 seconds. He posted something and 5 seconds later she had it. She had a picture of it. It was seconds. I don't see how any, and the other thing is, she says that she represents, Kayla said that she represents clients on the YFN case. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, you just gotta listen through the line. Ain't that the other? Ain't that the other gang? Well, they could play chess. I understand. I understand the statement because at the end of the day, all of these people are looking at lengthy sentences incarcerated. And they probably believe that with the murder charges out, their defendants will be dealing with just probation because they know they're guilty of some of these things. But remember, some of these charges all roll in together with one another. So if you don't find a person guilty of murder, death, kill, right? Then some of those gun charges, in terms of having some of those gun charges, get taken off the table because they are in concert with the murder. So if you find the person guilty of the murder, they had to murder them with what? It was a gun, right? So you would have to then say, yes, they're guilty of the gun. And then subsequent, yes, they're guilty of being a felon with the gun. So that's how this stuff begins to stack and pile. And so when y'all say chess, that's how they begin to put their little chess, their checker pieces on top of each other. Like when they get to the other end of the board and you say, king me. So once you get the murder, then you got to king the person and hit them with another piece on top, because then they get the gang activity, and because the gang activity is associated with the murder charge, then they get the possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, because you had to use the firearm in order to eliminate the person. Good morning, Karen. In order to eliminate the person. They even got the possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Now, the one thing that this woman said on the stand, that when I had to go back and listen to it, Velveeta also said that when she was doing her open commentary, which is not advisable, but when she was doing her little ad-libs, she also said that it wasn't just the footage, it was a Nibin hit, which made me sit up. Which scene had the Nibin hit on it, girl? What happened? Okay. Which scene had the Nibin hit? I missed it. No, she didn't come into this by happenstance. She didn't marry a defendant just by accident. Um, she just doing so much. When she said, I might as well show up in a bikini because that's what I wear on Instagram, in regards to her not being in person, what she is online. Yes, you are. Laugh out loud. Respect is gone foremost. So who said that? Oh man, I missed a few things. Um, mm, she's breezy. She breezy with a lawyer's license. I mean when you look at every good I don't know what you call it, plot sequel, you'd want to have players like this. Like the judge even said, "Is this for real?" Cuz it just comes a point when you just have to ask yourself, are these people really playing? This can't pinch me. Am I in the right environment? Man, when she said she thinks Velveeta tapped her phone, right? Girl, you thought the taps were over when they got arrested? Like I just don't know. She didn't call her a name on live. She said it on the phone. That's what she wants us to believe right now. or she wants us, and I'm just going to say this out of my this is my own discernment and my distrust in Kayla. Kayla lacks credibility for Monica Mo Justice. There's not going to be a moment that Kayla has credibility for me. And I think that even listening to the lead attorney, when he decided to give her, drop her some jewels, like, yo, you need to go and speak to, or she probably already did this and spoke to these people to see if there was a conflict. Everything about her is a conflict. These, again, the women of Rika. She stands right there. She's the poster board for this stuff. Questionable is the least bit, but again, she makes the conversations about her during a critical time, when it's just a critical time in the public arena. It ain't even 15 minutes. We done been through 2 months of a stall. The 6 weeks that the case was paused, right? Just think about a Jeffrey Williams sitting there saying to himself, I'm on pause because these people trying to get married, whatever that, like, imagine the contemplation. And this is why I looked at Steele's argument before the Supreme Court, right? Because if he really stood on the steps and felt like his client felt beat up by the system, no bonds, being a captive of the state, while he's sitting there waiting on this process to come to an end, and you got these people making these maneuvers around there. It just don't add up. I feel like I'm in a bad movie, and I'm just waiting for somebody to pop up and say, hey, this is Candid Camera. It does. It has me, like, my whole gut was turning. I was on the train yesterday, and I received a phone call, and I had to listen to myself because the people around me were just like looking at me as I was like discussing this. And I had to be like, I can't do this no more. I can't just continue to sit by, and everybody doesn't, like, I have a passion for law, right? I have a passion for my community, the people I serve, the people around me. I'm committed to public service, right? Or at least I have been in the past. This angers me because there's just people out here trying to make a dollar. This YouTube situation is part of it, right? Just trying to get financial gains in stuff they don't even know about. Then I watch other streamers that are like with legal backgrounds, and they just sitting up here capitalizing on our misguided way we live. We make a mockery out of how we live. It's not a crime to be poor. It's a circumstance. It's something that you rise up from. But if you have somebody like a Kayla who's just leeching on to people and being this like, how could you not protect his mama, his grandmama? Now I'm gonna say something else, right? Those little text messages, like, the whole thing is just it's just bad. And I heard the woman say, she love her grandson. That's why she calls him what she calls him. Miss Indy, come get Monica. Girl, I'm gonna have to share those thoughts. I have to share those thoughts before I make them worldly. But y'all take with them what you may. I just was thinking just a little bit too much. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it there. Yeah, girl. I'm gonna need. I needed to. I needed somebody to talk me down from that because when I heard, I had to go back and listen to it and stuff, and I was just like, I ain't with that. You know, I ain't been a grandmother, so I don't know how it is to dote over your grandchild more than everything. But now I want to know how long this has been going on. Was she with Shannon when she represented Woody? I have questions. She does not take this serious. Okay. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But I don't even think they're laughing at us. I think they're making a mockery out of this is why Monk Tunk is in jail now. Because him and his attorney, tried to sit up there, especially his attorney. And I feel like charges really should have been brought against him also. Like I feel like people should report these things when we see them, this ineffective assistance of counsel, because he sat up there and said, well, I didn't read the pages. Right. And then I hear another group of attorneys coming out of the same world saying, but he got him that wonderful deal that got him to get home to his mother before she died. And that's priceless. That's priceless, but it does have a price. It has a price of, when people got justice is blind, right? When you look at the symbol of Lady Justice, right? She's blind because she's not supposed to be biased, right? That's what the blindfold is supposed to mean. Some people say, oh, it's not to be prejudiced or whatever, right? I don't think so, because innocent people do get found guilty in that same system. She has a sword because it's supposed to represent the swiftness of justice. And it's just supposed to come down swift and quickly. And you see all the ramifications, like what she's garbed in, right? All of that has a meaning when it comes down to the symbolism, why she symbolizes justice, right? These people have no relationship to it at all. Doug got in this case because he thought it was going to be about lyrics. And for his client, it is about the lyrics. It's the lyrics because those are the things that have him in furtherance of the conspiracy, is what he had to say after the fact. He should have stayed on that and not get into this outside world. When he went and created when he didn't create a YouTube, but he went and he created this TikTok, right? And then he's got himself on TikTok. Yo, JJ, it screams the girl in the freezer to me. It just screams how we as a whole, as a black community, we want to stand around and champion criminal behavior and then have immersed in it all of these actions that people shouldn't be taking. Attorneys marrying clients. It's just too much. It's just too much. But there's gonna be more to come. Man, bye. That's the first like it's been on my brain when I started to look at the behaviors that are unexplainable and should not be tolerated. And that's it. But I'm gonna go in with an open mind in a couple of more minutes, and listen to the charges and see what charges are going to be lashed, put forth against them. Then I'm gonna listen to directed verdict, and I believe that they might win on some of the counts that don't have any that are written poorly inside the indictment. I think those will get thrown out unless they could show a reason of how you can cure that. Because remember, we're dealing with Paige Whitaker, right? The curer. She takes her role so seriously that she even said to the dude that came on yesterday to talk about RICO, right? Whoever their expert is from the state, to talk about how these charges are put down. And the first thing she said to him, or during the thing, she said, okay, if I do it that way, is it reversible? She's got her reputation on the line. It's the law of first preservation, right? I mean, this is what we, when someone told us about the Jungle Book, and it's the law of the jungle, and this one, the leader of the pack, and whatever. No, the law of the jungle is self-preservation. Why do you think not Hilton, the other one, Love had to get up out of there? Because she had taken enough hits. Now, according to Sylvia, and this is information I got from Sylvia's channel, according to Sylvia, the other defendants, and I believe it's 10, because I got to do this math again. I did it somewhere. I believe it's 10 defendants that are left to go, that are on the other trial. But maybe it's 12, but I don't think so. I should have wrote that number out. I'll put it on my community wall when I get to work today, what the number is that is in the other trial. Because remember, I went back and I listened recently to the other hearing to see who were the defendants that were left to go on trial. Let me just see if I'm coming, T. Give me a minute. I said give me 1 minute. Okay, give me 3 minutes. All right, hold up. And I saw that somebody over there was making Sylvia a chart. You confused about watching what? This is the part of the case that is intriguing, because now they have to present what you're going to see today, right? Just preempting you in this space. I'll get you the number and put it on a community wall, how many people are left in that other trial, because a lot of people took plea deals, but the people that were left to be trial. According to Sylvia, their case starts on December 5th, and Whitaker is the judge. This is what I'm going to say to that. I'm sure that's going to be a trial hearing, where it's going to be another status based on what I heard in January, February, in the June hearing. I think it was June 28th. Hey, the other thing I was going to say, what you're going to hear today is the prosecution now is going to say, all right, so in charge 1, remember when they were making the documents, they had the different folders, and the different folders supported the counts, and count this, count that, count 2, count 4, count 46. So now they're going to say to the judge, all right, and I'm just going to give you an example. Let's say like in count 2, which is going to be the Thomas murder. They're going to say, we were able to prove, and we presented, the evidence showed blase, 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 blase. And this is what we put down to meet this element of malice murder. Ba 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 ba. And this is what we showed. And there was cell phone, there was a video footage, there was a knife in hand. Like, they're just gonna put that out and say we presented enough evidence to meet the burden to present that to the jurors. Right. And then the defense is going to say, nah, that's a negative. They didn't, blah, 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 blah. But if there's enough evidence that they show, the court is always going to be in favor of the prosecution to allow them, because they have the burden. They only get one grab at this. So they have the burden of proving that. So they'll give that to the jurors. What will happen, though, if that'll be another phase, but that's what phase we're in right now. Let's just go one thing at a time. When you get to like a charge like number 49, which is the murder of Drinks. Before yesterday, I thought they were going to be able to have the defense, at least, was going to be able to make a strong enough case that they didn't show that he actually committed the crime. But without bringing out any witnesses of their own to really give you like an expert view of the videotape and breaking down the video from an expert that's into, video surveillance and stuff like that, you really just only have presented reasonable doubt. So that charge will move forward. Unfortunately, I think the other one before yesterday, I really thought it had no chance of going forward because of seeing car number 3. But then when they did the cross-examination and they tried so hard to convince us that the person walking on the street didn't flinch, right? But what I would have retorted back, so then if the person in the street didn't flinch, then how do we know that it occurred at that moment? How do we know that he didn't have a heart attack? I mean, like, I'm just not being funky, right? How do we know that Drinks didn't have like a heart attack or something sitting inside his car, and because he didn't move, you know how people are with road rage this day, somebody else didn't just get out and pop him through, just how do we know for certain that it was at that moment that he was eliminated? Because of what happened in those cars. You already told us that it's convenient that the stuff stopped. The cameras in the area were not recording. So how do we know? We don't know. We don't know. It's just, it's the craziness for me. It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, let me know how you feel about this down below in my in the comment section. And we'll chat it up sometime. It's tomorrow. What's today? Is today Wednesday? All right. Tomorrow's Thursday. I'll definitely be here for the stuff on Thursday. I'll be live streaming from 1C from the East Coast. Anyway, from 1C, I'll talk to you folks later. This is Mo. I've got to go.